The Eagles just dropped some news today that I was not expecting, as a surprise injury to an important offensive weapon has the potential to completely change the Birds' Week 2 matchup with the Chiefs, but it could also mean that a huge bounce-back performance is coming for A.J. Brown. Also, what did Kevin Patullo have to say about the Eagles' run game struggles, and why are Chiefs fans mad about the NFL's ruling on Jalen Carter? Well, I'm going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. The Eagles vs. Chiefs Super Bowl rematch is just a few days away, and while yes, neither Philly or KC is looking at it as a Super Bowl rematch, and rather just the next game on their schedule, it was just 7 short months ago that we watched the Birds absolutely beat the crap out of the NFL's current dynasty to bring home their second Super Bowl. So, as much as this is a new season with 2 new teams and this game is completely separate from that, that Super Bowl is still very much fresh in everybody's minds. And that's not the only interesting storyline going into this game. I mean, this will also be the first time in NFL history where 2 quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls against each other will face off in the regular season. Also, it's the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career specifically where he's going to be a home underdog. And also, if the Chiefs lose to the Eagles, not only would that make Jalen Hurts and the Birds just the second quarterback and team to beat Mahomes and the Chiefs 3 times in a row, but that'll also mark the first ever 3-game losing streak of Pat Mahomes' entire career, which is pretty insane. But what's also insane is the fact that this is now the 5th straight year where the Eagles and Chiefs will have played each other, which is the longest streak for an interconference matchup in NFL history. And I think it's safe to say at this point that Eagles-Chiefs has become a rivalry of sorts. I mean, these have possibly been the 2 best teams in the NFL over the course of the last 4 or so seasons, and the fact that they've played each other in multiple Super Bowls over the past few years and will now meet again for the 5th straight season is just crazy. I mean, these teams know each other very, very well, so it's going to make this matchup that much more intense. And something else that makes it even more intense is the fact that Jalen Carter is of course going to be playing this week, after the NFL officially decided to not suspend him moving forward, as they deemed that his Week 1 ejection served as a 1-game suspension, while they also fined him for a full game as well. And look, we all know what happened the last time Jalen Carter faced Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, it was not pretty for the 2-time MVP, as Carter and the Birds' defensive line absolutely took over and destroyed the Chiefs' offensive line in that game, and Mahomes was under pressure all night long. And now, going into this Week 2 matchup, with Carter coming off the ejection and now essentially playing in his first game of the season, you know he's going to be a little extra fired up and motivated for this one. So Mahomes and the Chiefs' offensive line might be in trouble because I got a feeling Carter, along with the rest of the Eagles' D-line, are going to have a pretty good game. Oh, and also, side note, it has been pretty fun to watch certain Chiefs fans complain that the NFL didn't suspend Jalen Carter, and specifically this tweet from BBQ Chiefs got me, as he said, quote, "Certain players on certain teams get special treatment. It's unbelievable." And to that, I say, with all due respect, look who's talking.
Mahomes, lofting one, end zone incomplete. There's a flag at the 10. Holding number 24.
James Bradbury, they're going to say he grabs him. He's got his left hand on his back. I don't know.
3rd and 9. Bodies around him.
The play was shut down. Please reset the 10 minutes, 24 seconds.
We're going to reset this. We're basically having a do-over here, guys. Let's see what happens with it.
Mahomes is down at the 24.
Holding. Defense number 20. Automatic first down.
Oh, my goodness.
Mahomes has time here. Gets with coverage downfield. Bringing pressure. Mahomes throwing it up for grabs. Again, it's intercepted. Before the pass was thrown, holding. Defense number 11. Yeah, it should have been 1, not 11, right? He held 11, I guess.
Taylor. Now a little extra curl.
Throwing a punch. Hey, ref! He punched him! Ref, he punched him, ref!
I mean, if anybody has gotten preferential treatment from the NFL over these past few years, it's been the Chiefs. So again, with all due respect, you guys just can't make that argument. Moving on though, it's also going to be fun to watch yet another matchup between Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, again, this has become a great rivalry over the years. These are the 2 winningest quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and they're just 2 of the best quarterbacks in the game as well. And whenever they match up, it is always a fun back and forth, and it's also a matchup that Jalen Hurts has gotten the better of more often than not. So I'd say look for that to continue this week against the Chiefs' defense and secondary that didn't look particularly good against the Chargers in Week 1. That said, things may have actually just gotten a bit tougher for Hurts and the Eagles' offense after the surprising news that just dropped today. And that is that, according to Elliott Shore-Parks, Eagles star tight end Dallas Goedert apparently has a knee sprain that has now put his status for this Week 2 game against the Chiefs up in the air. And ESP goes on to say that it's not a long-term injury, and the team's going to see how he progresses this week to determine whether he'll play or not. And obviously, this is just not the news that I wanted or was expecting today. I mean, I guess on the positive side, this isn't a serious injury like ESP said that's going to keep Goedert sidelined for a long period of time, so I guess that's good. But the fact that Goedert is now injured again just one game into the new season is definitely not a good sign. I mean, I love Goedert. I was one of the people hoping for him to work something out and stay with the Eagles back when he was in all those trade rumors this offseason, because I do think he's one of the best tight ends in all of football when healthy. But that's the key phrase, when healthy. And as much as I love him, Goedert, for whatever reason, just has not been able to stay healthy throughout the course of his entire NFL career. And him potentially missing this game against the Chiefs definitely would hurt the Eagles offense, because not only is he a crucial part of the Eagles passing game, heck, he led the team last week with 7 catches against the Cowboys, but he's also a huge part of the Eagles run game, and really the only tight end that the Eagles have that's a good run blocker. So again, not having him could potentially be a big blow to the Eagles offense in multiple ways. So hopefully he heals up in time for Sunday, but again, definitely not the news I was hoping for today. And to add on to it, the potential absence of Goedert in this game now makes it even more crucial for Kevin Patullo and the coaching staff to make adjustments to the Birds' run game. As like I talked about a couple of videos ago, the Eagles' rushing attack really did struggle in Week 1, in large part due to Kevin Patullo just continuing to call run plays out of these condensed formations with heavy personnel. And that just basically invited the Cowboys to stack the box, and in turn, the Eagles did not have very much success on those run plays. So the Birds definitely do need to make a change there, especially with potentially Goedert not playing in this game. However, when offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo was asked about these problems with the run game, he didn't seem to think it was too big of a problem.
Ran too much into heavy boxes.
It's funny, not really. When you look at it situationally, we went back and did some self-scouting stuff. It wasn't that we ran into heavy boxes. I think there was just at times, situationally, there was a run called. And when you look at the coverage that we were given, they were kind of messing around with some stuff that appeared to be a little bit of a heavy box. And we didn't always block it properly, so we just got to continue to work on that. But really, when you look at just kind of the calls with how the flow of the game was going, for the most part, obviously in the first couple drives, we had a good flow as far as the run pass mix, and kind of continued with that. So I wouldn't say, we definitely knew exactly every play what was going to happen. So it was a good mix for the most part.
Yeah, honestly, I'd be lying if I said that this response from Patullo didn't concern me at least a little bit. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's just coach speak, and that's what I'm honestly hoping for. But if he genuinely doesn't see an issue with how they were operating in the run game with those heavy condensed packages and running into stacked boxes with tight ends that aren't great blockers, then that's a problem. But again, maybe it's just coach speak, so we'll have to wait and see what adjustments are made in this game against the Chiefs. And even more so now that Dallas Goedert might be out, hopefully one of the offensive adjustments that the Birds make this week is to get A.J. Brown the ball more, as he's looking to bounce back from just a one-catch, one-target performance in Week 1.
When you game plan, obviously the number one guy is going to be A.J., Devontae, Dallas. Those guys are going to get, in the pass game, they're going to get the targets. And so going in, we had a fair share of things that were going to go him as the primary. And sometimes games play out like that, and that's kind of how it was. And kind of to the previous question, we don't ever want to force it. So if it's one of those games where you're trying not to force it and you're being productive and you're staying on track, the guys understand. He played his butt off too. Like he knew kind of what was going on and just the way it was. And we were moving the ball and being efficient. So I think when you look at it, you always put that in mind when you start the game plan, like this week. Hey, he's the guy. This is where we want to go with it. And once the game starts to unfold, you just kind of play it accordingly.
It definitely sounds like the Eagles were planning to get A.J. Brown the ball more, but just with the way the game was flowing, it didn't end up happening that way. And to a certain extent, I understand that. And I also think part of it just has to do with how the Cowboys were covering him. But on the other hand, it's A.J. Brown, one of the best and most dynamic receivers in all of football, and you gotta find a way to get him involved, at least to some extent. I mean, he's gotta have more than one target, because when he's getting the ball, he's active within the offense, and he's making big plays. That just takes the Eagles offense to a whole nother level. So again, now going into this game against the Chiefs, they absolutely need to get A.J. Brown the ball. And I'm sure that's the plan, especially against the Chiefs secondary that did not look very good in their season opener against the Chargers. I mean, LA's entire wide receiver trio of Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, and Keenan Allen all had big performances. So hopefully A.J. Brown can do the same and have a bounce-back game. And right now, my gut feeling is that he will, as we've seen him follow up quiet outings with huge performances in the past, so hopefully he can do the same here. Now, the one question mark is whether part of his lackluster performance had to do with him still being injured, so hopefully that's not the case, but again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens and how he looks on Sunday. And honestly, as much attention as AJ has gotten, I'm hoping for a bounce-back game from Devontae Smith as well, because he was pretty quiet in the opener too. That said, a lot of this honestly is going to depend once again on Kevin Patullo and the Eagles' offensive strategy and play calling, because watching the film from last week against the Cowboys, you can clearly see that they just did not do a great job of scheming these guys open, so hopefully they can improve in that area as well. Moving on though, we got some more Eagles injury news to go over, starting with Landon Dickerson, who was at practice after hurting his back in week 1. I mean, what else can I say besides what a tough man Landon Dickerson is? And also, in other news, Tanner McKee was at practice with a helmet, but still not throwing as he continues to deal with a broken right thumb. And Will Shipley was not at practice after suffering a fractured rib against the Cowboys. And of course, Goedert was not out there either. Also, shout out to Melvin and Miss Kitty here for the support. Appreciate you guys leaving comments and just continuing to watch the videos and support the channel. It really does mean the world to me, to all you guys who continue to watch my videos and support me. Also, to end off the video, I feel like I should probably say this because I'm honestly like really shaken up and pissed off right now, but everyone pray for Charlie Kirk's family. What happened to him today was horrible, tragic. Like I honestly am having a hard time talking about it because I saw the video and it's shaking me pretty good. And there was also another tragedy in Colorado today, so prayers out to all the victims there. And I'm honestly just sick that stuff like this continues to happen. So again, prayers out to Kirk's family, those people in Colorado, and just all the other terrible things that are going on right now. I hate to end the video off that way, but I just feel like it needed to be said. And with all that being said, make sure you guys do all the fun YouTube stuff, subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video, comment, hit the hype button. That's a new thing. And if you do want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. Again, sorry to end off the video on such a low note, but I just feel like it had to be said. I mean, it's awful what happened. So, again, do all that stuff. Make sure you guys are praying, and I'll see you in the next video.